And we're live. And apparently, we say that every time we get started. And I'm going to need to take a breath. So, guys, Angela Stalker.
Hello. And that's, ready for the right way. Yalanda Lattimore, Dryer Buzz. And this is Leading Women Wednesdays, bringing you all you need to know about women and leadership and leading women and all the things in between. And so our producer extraordinaire, Dryer Buzz, Yalanda Lattimore, is over here trying to multitask. We just had a little quick brief interchange about multitasking prior to coming online. And, you know, it's like, I'm every woman. It's all in me. It's like you got 20 things going on at one time. And then it's like, flip that camera on. Let's go.
I know, right? And my dog, he's created a pact between us. And something I had to Google because I was like, what is going on? So I literally had to move his food because what's new to me in this pandemic is coming in here, creating this space, the space you see behind me, for the soap, right? And so I literally realized that he spends a lot of time guarding me and there for me. So I had to move his food like literally outside the door there. He's not allowed in this space or in the kitchen. And so when I come in here and he hears me get busy, he'll finally eat. So you may hear some munch and crunch going on. But let me say, I love you. You tweaked your space a little bit, your angle over there.
Yep.
I absolutely love it.
Well, good. I have a really nice collection of art, and I was like, let me try to get some more of the art and some of the pictures, and try. But I do have a collection of female nudes, so I'm trying to make sure that there is nothing PG-13 in our shot.
Tell me, our viewers are not doing this, like
no. But I will say, if for anybody who wants, maybe this will drive some traffic to our YouTube channel, there is, if you will go back and look through the last month, let's say, you might get an eye full of something if you look closely, just the way that Yalanda said, look, in the beginning of the broadcast, because I had to adjust my camera, I saw something and I was like, okay. So just this is the reward. This will be the reward for anybody who wants to go back and meticulously review our footage from the last since the beginning of the year. If you just want to see a little piece of art
in the shot, okay,
that would have been that you will not see now. But anyway, thank you. I wasn't sure, but I thought I kind of like it like this.
No, I love it. I love it because we get a little bit of a contrast because I could see a little bit of the pictures behind you. I love it. It looks good, and you look comfortable.
So, well,
because, you've had a pretty revealing week this week. You shared some stuff. You got a chance to take us through a couple of exercises at Breakfast with Dryer Buzz. For those of you that have not yet ventured over to Clubhouse, you're trying to figure out, well, what do you do on Clubhouse? Well, you start your mornings on Clubhouse with us. Angela is one of the moderators in a room that I started called Breakfast. What do you call it? Feed Your Dreams.
Feed Your Dream.
Feed Your Dreams. Breakfast with Dryer Buzz. So we were on this morning, and Wednesday is our second day of the week over there because we actually start on Tuesday. So we're live. We're live over there, y'all.
Tuesday, it is live.
Saturday. And then, of course, throughout the rest of the day, we're supporting others in their rooms. And Angela has come up on the room also as well. And what did you guys call it?
It was how to take control of your universe, and which was a really interesting and dynamic conversation. We went for 90 minutes. I figured we'd go for an hour, and what I thought was so interesting was, it was the 50-year-olds and the 25-year-olds. I mean, that's who was there, right? And I'm like, it's the mothers and the daughters. It's the it's Gen X and millennials, but these are young millennials, and these young people who are just really, I think they're really learning from the generations before them to say, let me get in touch with what my purpose is early, so that instead of having to have a quarter life crisis and a midlife crisis,
like us,
and an old age crisis, is to say, how do I get in alignment with it early? Now, I don't know that it necessarily, there's things that you just have to learn over time about yourself and about, your processes. But I just think it's such a such a great thing to see, like I say, this, we're talking about, we've adopted this, this metaphor between the two of us, and that we talked about on the show, of rather than passing the torch, is that you take your torch and you light the torch of the next one. And to
Exactly.
see these young people with their, like, I got my torch, I'm ready to go.
Right, and they only want a little bit of your flame. And Angela, you hear Angela and I make that reference all the time, because I think because I know we had a misunderstanding, and we thought we're the boomer, because we're the daughters of boomers, and we thought, wow, everything with them was such a teachable moment. And you know what? And I say that we allude to them a lot, but we probably should have been looking for that 10-year, because if you think 20 years between us, we probably should have been looking at that 10-year, which would be open them in the 60s, like us coming into our 50s. They're in their 60s. So I think there was a natural order of things trying to happen, but we didn't know how to let natural happen. So we've been running around here mad at moms.
Right.
Just trying to figure this thing out. But yet those coming behind us, and unfortunately, we didn't know it would take this long for us to kind of like wait, right?
Well, and
after it hurt so much.
Well, that's it.
Now
And
we're.
yeah,
Go ahead.
no, I'm sorry to cut you off. No, and it's very much like we still feel like young. We still feel young. I mean,
and we're supposed to.
With my white hair and your grown children, but I'm like, but still, we're still in a process of discovery, and so I think that it's and to understand that, like, the 60-year-olds are still also in a process of discovery, right? And the 70-year-olds even are still, because we're allowing that. We culturally are allowing. We're not saying that you're done at 50. My grandfather thought he'd be dead at 50. He lived to be 86. And just like when he got 50, he was just like, I'm going to be dead any minute, right? Because everybody around him had died at 50, right? So now we are, I'm with you. I don't like this 30 is the new 50. 50 is the new 50, right? We've earned every minute of where we are.
50 hurts. Like, people said it would be fabulous. No, it hurts. Well, I think the discovery part, discovering the 60s, or that it's like if you make it past all the hurt and all that stuff that comes in on you, then you get back to a point of discovery. I think you and I are getting back to a place of discovery, thanks to these younger women that we are allowing to come behind us. Somebody said earlier, man, you look so young. And I'm like, well, the kids, they keep you young. When they want to be around you, that keeps you young, because you got to keep moving. Like, you can't get all stiff. Like today, hello, LaShonda Hoffman is saying hello there. So
hi, LaShonda.
Want to greet. And if you guys are watching, we haven't even gotten our shares out there. In fact, we have this on enough places now that you can broadcast so many places, so we don't have to share. You're probably on a live engagement. If you do leave a comment, it will show up and we can say hello and show it on the screen. So those who are watching the replay can also see what we're responding to when we see your comments. So we can put that on the screen for you guys. And this is a show called Leading Women Weekly, where we really get down to we genderfy some of the topics, because like I just learned today, I thought that men intentionally focus on one thing, and I just had a man tell me, no, we can only do one thing. And they are absolutely amazed at the fact of how we're able to balance all these different things. And I was like, wow, because I really thought that men intentionally just did one thing. No, that's all they can do.
And, and like, if we could just bring these things together, sometimes we just need to be single-minded and focused, and sometimes we need to be able to multitask. But yeah, no, I mean, it is there. I have a friend who started a platform called Multitasking Women, and it's basically, it's like every woman is a multitasking woman, right? It's like
as I multitask to try to
exactly.
Make sure I got all the brand together here.
But LaShonda is from Clubhouse. That's where at least I connected with her first. So it's so happy to see some crossover from our Clubhouse room. But just to sort of wrap up this, this experience around the generations coming together. I think that's really beautiful in our Clubhouse room. We got a lot of different backgrounds and whatever, but generationally, there's a lot of back and forth. And the other thing that it was very powerful to me in doing this room. We were talking about last Saturday with Alexia, was my 23-year-old co-host, and was to remember that's what we were like, right? That, and you said it, Yalanda, you're like, that's us. That was us at 25, right? That we had ideas and visions and dreams. And often the people around us were telling us, you don't know what you're talking about, or you're too young, or who are you? So it's really, I thought, was a great reminder to say, I still feel like I'm 25, right? But I'm not 25, but I can honor that 25-year-old in me, but bring the wisdom of being twice that age, right? And then some. And so, I think that that's really important. And I wanted to touch on this before we move on to the next thing, but you're talking about where we are in feeling comfortable or joyful or whatever. And there is a study, was a study done, many studies, I'm always going to find a study. There's a study. It was about the middle of things, like in a time progression, midpoints, right? And it was all these things about what happens at midpoints, right? And this was a study that they compared, like, the middle of this broadcast, right? So we usually go 90 minutes, right? So how would the middle of a 90-minute window compare to the middle of an 8-hour day, compared to a decade, compared to a lifetime? And what they found is, regardless of the amount of time, that when you get to the middle, the midpoint, right, where you can see that actually just past the midpoint, right, where now you have less time in front of you than you have behind you, that you will get more done in the second half than you did in the first half. And so when it comes to midlife crises, they found that midpoint, which they put it about, I want to say, was somewhere around 53 years old, right? So about, we should be rolling right around there. Was actually your peak dissatisfaction in your life. So, like, if life satisfaction, right, is like, and then it dips, but then it starts back up. The bottom is around 53, right? And
so we're right there. No lie, guys. We're 53. Are we 53 or 54?
We're 54, dear.
No, not yet. Okay.
No.
Angela, stop playing.
I told you I got freaked out about what year my birthday is coming up in April. I literally lost a whole year. I really thought I was getting ready.
And apparently I did too. Okay, so we turn how old this year?
55.
Damn.
Yes, we're fucking old.
Where the hell did 53 go?
It just, the pandemic killed it. Pandemic killed 54.
When were we 53?
Okay, we were 53. I'm serious though. This went in my head when I was thinking about my birthday, and I said to my sister, "I'm going to be 54."
Wait, okay,
I'm like, literally. I said,
people don't understand.
And she's like,
"We missed 50. We didn't even get to do shit when we turned 50. That was the worst year ever for us all."
Yeah.
Okay. In 51, we were recovering from shit happening.
Oh my gosh.
And damn, 52, we were like, let's just keep breathing.
Let's just keep moving.
And we missed 53 because 54 was the pandemic.
Yes.
And now you're older, so
literally I had to count on my face. I just had to count it to make sure that I was.
And I just thought about it's 21, so
yeah, it's 21.
I don't even add like I want to.
Yeah. So yeah,
we're 55 this year.
We are 55. I'm 55.
So all
in 2 months.
So wait, you're saying bottom was 53.
53, and I'm like, I'm still in the damn bottom.
I'm thinking, man, we just hit bottom. So we're coming up. We're coming.
We hit bottom and flatlined.
we did, y'all. People are out there like, where'd Yalanda Angela go? Y'all don't understand, honey. Yeah. Hold on. Okay, wait. I can't. My eyes are so watery. I can't even.
Yeah, no. I'm like, people like.
Shonda says, what is she saying? She says, I'll be 54 in March. I had maybe 51, 53 rushed by. Okay. All right. So. Damn. Okay. Yeah, no. So much for the demographics. But
yeah. Well, there you go. But the point is that we should start to peak up, right? We should start.
I hope so.
We should start moving up, because it's a big part of that study about midlife, right? is that you reach a point where you start to make peace, right? You say, okay, I've reached the point in my life where I'm going to have to make peace with what's come before, right? And let me make the best of what remains. And so I think that there's something that's very hopeful in that, right? And the point is, don't wait till you hit bottom to peak, to stay. Let me make peace with what's come before. And if I'm feeling dissatisfaction, right? How do I incorporate that? But also with that,
at least we
with
thought
that
we
bounce,
were ahead of the curve.
yes. Well, and I think the pandemic did well, but see what hit us, right? The loss of a parent, extended caregiving, the loss of a parent, and now we've had a global crisis, so we're not going to count that. But what starts happening to you, right, in that 50 range? Kids get grown, right? So you're transitioning from having a house full to empty nest, and you start to experience the loss of the generation above you. And so there's a lot of grief in that particular typically in that particular space. And I do think part of that learning to do the uptick is processing grief and figuring out how you're going to better process grief, because it's not that we didn't have grief before and after, but there just seems like, for me anyway, in this last period of 10 years, 45 to 55, there's just
Can I give a shout out?
Please.
Now that you explain, because I've been trying to figure out, like, what the hell? And as you sip from your cup, I didn't even grab my cup.
My Valentine's
I do have a beautiful basket here. And one of the reasons I have a beautiful basket is dropped off, filled with, it's empty. It's not even empty. Filled with whiskey.
What?
Yes.
Where's my whiskey baskets?
Well, and you're gonna get a little jealous when I tell you who dropped it off. But Miss Vanessa Parker, our good friend.
I am jealous.
I posted that, y'all, I need a drink. I cannot keep this stuff together. So this beautiful basket, I said I'd keep it here in the soup space, but it had a whiskey and a chaser in there. Aww. And so that has become my evening shutdown routine right now, because she's the sweetest, and we all know.
She is so fantastic.
Thank you so much. The Pink Boss. You can find her online, the Pink Boss. And of course, I exchanged with her some soap. So we just kind of met and swapped on the porch. And she literally came out with that. And I'm so thankful. And because we need it, y'all, we hadn't seen each other since breakfast, right?
Yeah. And and also she's doing yoga. So if you're looking for a yoga instructor, Vanessa Parker, the Pink Boss, she's doing yoga. She's integrating yoga into sort of her whole approach to supporting women in business. So check it out. But no, we really do. And sometimes, and sort of segues from the conversation this morning on Clubhouse around need, right? And recognizing what we need.
Go back. I wanted you to reiterate before we get to the need.
Okay.
What was the question you asked us last week? And hopefully people gave that some thought. And you said you were one question, 3 ways.
One question, 3 ways. What do I want? What do you want? What do you want? What do you want? What do you want? So I've messed up my 3 ways, but it's like, what? We usually want to focus on the what. What is it that I want, right? But we miss the end. If you don't work on the end of the question, you can't get to the what, which is, what do you, or what do I want, me, separate from everybody involved in the decision, right? And then what do I really want? What do you really want, right? And that wanting, and to be able to identify, what do you want? Because I came up with this thinking about how many times somebody says to me, hey, can you help me with XYZ? Be that in business or in personal life, right? Can I get some advice? Can you give me some help? I think, and they'll be like, can you tell me how to do, well, blah, blah, blah. And I'll be like, okay, sure I can. But are you sure that's what you want? And most of the time it's not what they really want. Either it's not what they want as an outcome, what they're trying to do, let's take it from a business point of view, is they think it's something they should do, but it's not necessarily what's going to lead them to where they want to be, right? And then as individuals, they don't want to do it, right? It's like, literally, I don't want to do this, but I know I have to do it. And so can you tell me how to do the thing that I don't want to do, but I feel like I have to do, right? And so not that we don't have to do things that we don't want to do, right?
Right.
But if we don't acknowledge what we want, then we're not going to even realize that we're not doing what we want to do.
Exactly.
And so,
and of course, we discovered that very few people, if any, can answer that question immediately. Without giving it serious thought, without considering everybody else in the equation. And we followed up with that today in breakfast with trying to get people to confidently say, I need to do X, Y, and Z because I need to.
Yeah.
And mine was, I need to get out of the house in between breakfast and this broadcast. I need to not sit here and just wait for these two things to happen. I need to go out. It was beautiful out. The sun is amazing. Okay. And considering we just had 20 degrees and snow flurries, it was beautiful out. And so I did get out, and I knew, if I got back at 1 o'clock, I would have 30 minutes to run around, and I'm going to end up running around doing those things anyway, because who doesn't procrastinate? But to have satisfied a need. And man, my skin feels so good. I feel so good. It's gorgeous out there. Nice little drive I did, had some packages to drop off, did those in the post office. Aside from, I went out and walked the dog, and I'm like, okay, now me time.
Right. Because
I'm not going to do it along with anything else that I have to do. That's just me time.
That's a very good observation. Walking the dog is for the dog. I mean,
for
it can be
dog.
for you, but it's for the dog, right? And so this is the thing that I thought was so interesting this morning. And I was not on the call for the whole thing. I had to get off. But that people's inability to be able to state clearly what they need, and it's the same thing with want, right? And is to say, okay, well, I need self-care, right? Well, what does that look like? And I didn't hear one person say to me what self-care looked like. You said self-care looks like me leaving this house for a period of time and going outside for myself, right? They say, you got your
everybody car. It seemed like once one person said it,
then everybody's in it.
To resonate. Oh, I need self-care. And I'm like,
I need self-care too. What does that mean?
Yeah.
It's meaningless, right? We've made it meaningless, right? Because, but so mine was I need to do my 5K a month, and it seems, again, it's something I need to do it for me. I want to do it, and I need to do it. And literally, I'm doing virtual 5Ks, so it's me by myself. It's like, but I need to sign up, right, and get a T-shirt and take a selfie and be out going, I'm doing my 5K, and then post my thing and get my finisher certificate. That feels important to me. I can exercise other ways, right? Exercise is important for me too. But for me, I need that feeling of accomplishment. I need the goal. And I like, they say, I like being recognized. Even though I'm still me, it's recognizing myself, right? So that right there, I was actually very proud when I came in on the question. I'm like, I can answer that question directly, and I can give you a specific thing. But the person that I had to explain that to, and had to validate that with, and had to justify that with, was me.
You.
I had to convince myself that wasn't stupid, right? It's like,
how many people? How many times do you have to answer? Hey, Angela, are you still doing your 5Ks? Are you doing the virtual? How many? Because people are bringing it up because it's a part of you, but it's something that you sacrifice along with all the other stuff. Yeah. And now you're finding, hey, I could do this.
Yeah. And it's like, and again, it's just for me. And I like to post about it and get a little, woo, 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 Angela, look at you. Which is great.
Because you're the oldest and you love your certificates.
I do. I still have my certificates all the way back to second grade. I have them preserved. I have a book this thick. And my family mocks me. And then at holidays, I bring them out and say, look at all my certificates. That I started preserving, like literally the reason that I have them back to second grade is that by third grade, I realized my mom had too many kids and she could not keep up with my stuff. So I kept my own scrapbooks and started archiving my own stuff like when I was 8 or 9 years old. That's how into it I am, right? But to say, yeah, this is important to me. So, with these races, if there's a medal, you buy this stuff, right? I buy the medal, right? It's like, And I'm like, literally, I'm like, oh, that's so dumb. What is it? It's $20, and I get to put the medal on. And I'm like, look at me. But it really, you can see, it brings me joy. It brings me joy. I feel, and it makes me feel.
So where do you keep all this stuff?
So I just have a little
Corner of the
area
world.
dedicated where I have, just like a little corner, and I have,
so you get to savor.
So I will go look at it, right? So I have my race numbers, and I have, if my little medals, and I have a frame photograph of when I ran the Peachtree back in, what was that, 2013, and you get a finisher's, photograph and certificate. So I frame it. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to honor this stuff because, and I, like I say, I had to move away from it with caregiving, and I was like, you know what? This is where the pandemic worked for me. Making all these things virtual made me think, okay, I can do it, right? And then it turns out I wasn't even aware of this. There have been virtual races forever, right? Because people make money. These are businesses, right? And so there's the Wonder Woman race every year in DC, and all these women show up and they dress like Wonder Woman and they do their 5K or their 10K, right? But and basically you pay and you get all Wonder Woman thing, but they realized that they could open it up to people who couldn't come to DC, and you have a period of time to run, and you just pay the money and you get the stuff, and they don't even have to cover the overhead of providing for you in the race, right? So I was like, oh, great. This will be something I can continue, because I would not wish the pandemic to continue so I could keep having virtual races, right? But this will be something that I can continue. I'm hoping that some of these things that I'm participating in now, mostly through the Atlanta Track Club, will keep a virtual option for people and say, if you can't come in person and you want to participate virtually, you pay your money, you get your t-shirt. I just want, literally, I want the t-shirt. I want to go do my thing. But I do it because I had to recognize that I needed it. Like I say, I needed it. Makes me, and I mean, this month I've been terrible with my exercise program because it's been cold, but still this Saturday, I'm going to go do my 5K, right? My Hearts and Souls 5K. And
so that people don't think that we are just two senile women.
Yes, thank you.
We are at 2:08, and we're probably we want to segue here. And I'm trying to capture some screenshots of us so that I can put them on different platforms. And we are hilarious trying to catch us in a good screenshot. I titled this room, and the funny part was because I feel like kind of senile. I saw somebody like the post, and it said it was a heading that I had just written, and I was like, oh my God, that is cool. It said, don't call us in a crunch or a crisis. And then I looked at it like, oh wait, I just wrote that. I was like, it looks good on social media. One of the things that we said, and thank you guys so much for all the viewers, those of you clicking in, and for those of you that have to get back to work, don't forget you can watch this as a replay. There's a link up there above Angela's head there. If you're looking down there, we put it up to the top. It's leadingwomenweekly.com. And we're pointing that over. I believe, I'm trying to remember if I haven't, over to the YouTube, because we want you guys to follow our new YouTube channel. We've got a new YouTube channel, and that's where you can get just the Leading Women video. So you don't have to go to the driver's page and go all up in all the stuff that I post. But we said in a crunch or a crisis, because we're coming out of a crisis, we're in a crunch. And at the same time, we're seeing that women are being called upon to lead the way.
Yeah.
And we're like, why now? Why wasn't the world ready to listen to us before we were out here saying we're going to get to such a time? Angela has long wanted the need to do virtual races, and yet we finally are here. I can't imagine the FOMO that you would feel if you couldn't participate in these things. And I was listening again on a number of things on the radio, and people are trying to figure this out. And what they don't understand is that people are a little excited as to where we are because they get to participate. I literally was in a room, and Kate, and obviously Kay's room. She had a room open, and literally she said, "Hey, I used to watch." She was given a guided tour to some friends of hers club to come to Clubhouse.
Mm-hmm.
And she literally said while I was sitting there in the audience, and I think I've heard her say this, but it didn't resonate. She literally said, I used to watch Breakfast with Dryer Bus on Periscope, and being in Texas, I knew I would never be able to go.
Mm-hmm.
Now I get to have breakfast with her every day. And I was like, wow, and to think about, even though when we did breakfast, we did have we did a lot of people to come in virtually. But now the focus, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Now the focus is on virtually. Before they were just kind of, be in the room, right? Be on the wall. Now they fully involved. And we tried before, but it was hard trying to balance the conversation in the room and with those that were online, because I was so busy trying to document the whole thing. And you were a facilitator at times. It was hard, right? Trying to engage the online audience.
Absolutely. And we're seeing this right now with hybrid schools. And boy, was that a sad conversation today. We won't go down that path. But that where you have some in the classroom now and some online, and the teachers got to try to integrate both. That's a very difficult thing to do. So I think that's going to be the next step of this, right? Is that all these
because they weren't intentional with it. They're still trying to figure it out. Had they been intentional and said, hey, education in America is now hybrid, right? Hey, parents, don't just stay home with the kids, go out there and experience. Like, I love that there's a whole group of parents that say, hey, listen, if we're going to be online, we're going to do it. We're going to not just stay here in these four walls. We're getting in the car. We're going across the country. We're just going to log in and do these things. But then there's a segment of people that don't even know that people are doing that. They're like, how are these people out? How are these people happy with this thing? Because they are doing something intentional with it. Talk for a second. I need to turn my heat off.
Yeah. So I'm going to say, that right there about being intentional. So, as we move forward and we move back out of this entirely virtual space, I mean, it's kind of exciting to think that we may get there in this year. To be,
I felt like I was going to pass out over here. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Bless your heart. I was just saying, this idea of being intentional, that as we now start to transition back into more in-person based stuff, right? It's just, how can we be intentional about those people, like you say, who are not able to fully participate? And there's and again, there's people due to schedule, there's people due to ability/disability that are limited in what they can do. Let's say location, geography. I'm hoping that we will intentionally approach it, in the next phase of how we bring this, in person and hybrid together, and virtual together, because I certainly can imagine that there will be a backlash against virtual, right? It's like everybody's like, I'm tired of virtual. I just, I want to be around people. But let's say there is, again, if we do it intentionally, we can have the best of both worlds, right? So I really hope for that.
And I mean, I can see that. Think about, again, like I said, there are those, the kids are logging in. Imagine the background, the teacher's like, wait, there's a different background. You guys are in the Grand Canyon. But then you got another parent, they're just trying to get through the week. They trying to make sure the kid, like I came in, I'm like, hey, I can't even connect right now. We might be a few minutes behind. Just dealing with that. I think we have to be intentional. Liberation has to be a part of it. Freedom has to be a part of it. But again, because that wasn't the intent, and sounds like, well, what we Angela and I had the chance to allow some parents to express themselves this morning, and it sounds like it's still not, the intention is still focused. The focus is still somewhere else and not where it truly needs to be. And that is, what do the kids want? What do the teachers want? How is this really impacting everybody involved? But see, and I think that's the problem too. We're trying to figure out, how does it impact everybody involved, instead of like, wait, who really needs to, where should the focus be?
Right.
And if we ask that question, I think it should be on the teachers. And I understand the kids should be the focus, but if the teachers are afraid, then the kids can't be the focus. If the teachers are, the instructors and are trying to figure this thing out, if they're not good, then the instruction can't be good, right? Because I mean, if it's just about warehousing these kids so that parents can go and work and we can keep the economy going, then let's take the instructional part out of it.
That's it. That's
and
it.
do the instructional part elsewhere and put people in place who, and I hate to use that word because I know there are some could go write a proposal and next thing you know, we got a whole other thing going on, right? Like, do you really need your kid going somewhere to learn or to socialize or have a form of expression? There's a safe way to do that when we don't apply all of these other things. Like, I don't understand why there's not micro centers, going on. I'm like, what if you took a room and you just turned it into this, that, the other? Somebody who knew, because I'm thinking now, man, when you think of this, I mean, teachers, there's so much on them that have to recognize so much that's going on with these kids. And now there is a real concern for their livelihood. This is not just a virus, it's a deadly virus.
Yeah.
Right. The word deadly is in the mix here.
Yeah.
So they're having to process this thing on a daily basis. And this is what they love. They want to be with your children. They want to be. They
want to do it. Yes. And because they didn't get paid enough to begin with. So
right.
They're doing
but
it
then
because
when
they want to.
when they see a colleague, when they see loss of life, there's loss of life in the mix of this.
Yeah,
And then
Sean,
one of the parents mentioned
yeah.
the traumas. The kids are we literally had somebody this morning said, you guys, the kids are traumatized.
Yeah, that was Sean. And I was just saying, when she said that, and because I had not heard any stories, the people that I know who have small children, none of them are back in school yet, right? And when she started talking about that the kids get there and they just want to be with one another, right? And that they're told they've got to sit still, don't speak, right? Because, this is trying to, they're in mass, they can't speak, and that they're constantly in trouble because they just want to be children and they've been cooped up. And it broke my heart. And I'm just like, surely they're not okay. And then they're going to go back and get in trouble for trying to express the thing that is a human expression, right? That look, and okay, like I said, I was like, my heart was broken. And I thought about all these people who just flaunt mask regulations. They go to nightclubs, they go to restaurants. We got a restaurant over here who's promoting a ladies' night, and they're just going to go and booze it up and get drunk and pass COVID. And you're going to yell at kids because when the kids they've been away from each other for a year, that they want to laugh and talk and
this
socialize.
This is a time when they form lifelong relationships, friendships. I don't know.
Yeah, and so I'm just like, and I get that they're trying to, but again, because the teachers are afraid, I think you really did nail it there. You can't, you can't have 20 screaming kids, because if one of them's screaming COVID, you're the one who's going to you're the one that's going to get sick. And she's talking about in Cobb County. I know we had 2 teachers die within hours of one another. And I believe there have been at least 2 other teachers who have passed away from COVID. And so that's a real thing here in Cobb County. And I'm sure other counties have the same thing. So these teachers can't help but think about this. Did you see this teacher in Chicago? His wife is 8 months pregnant, and he asked, could he stay virtual teaching? And they're like, nope, you got to come to work on campus. So he goes to the school, he sits outside with his computer in the snow, okay? And it's cold in Chicago in February. And he teaches his class virtually from outside the building, because he does not want to risk exposing his wife and unborn child to COVID, right? And so
again, the question is, why are we forcing them back in the classroom when education could be done so much differently?
And I think you've got it. It's that we are confusing childcare with education, and those 2 things are different, right? Yeah. And so, again, but to extend compassion to all these school systems. No, everybody is just trying to do the best they can, but to put some judgment on them.
Mm-hmm.
This is something you've said many times. Why weren't they thinking about this? Why have they not been thinking about these tools and technologies for years, right? There should have already been plans in place, not for necessarily for a pandemic, but maybe, right? But of
Right.
how to better use these tools. And so we're caught off guard over things that really should already be. We already have this in education. We already had it in higher ed, right? Distance education and so forth. So there's already some best practices, although I hate that term best practices. There's already some established things that work, right?
Mm-hmm.
That we should have already had that built in, right? But we didn't. And so now.
And it's funny because one of my needs, satisfying my need to get out, I stopped by the mall and I noticed in the food court, they just simply took out some of the tables and it's all spread out. And I'm like, and again, it popped back into my mind. Why didn't we have some form of reduction? Like I saw the movie theater and ours is closed. There's some that are open. And I'm like, why didn't we just take some chairs out? Why aren't there like 2 seats and then space and whatever?
Right.
It's because of it's where the money resides.
Where the money resides.
Where the money resides. And so they were trying to fill in like every little space that you can. But yet still, people are still making money. People are still making money. It's just that we don't have any options and alternatives. I will say, I think the kids do still need the socialization. I went into the city yesterday and I saw the infamous quote unquote water boys. And I find it interesting that that one of the exits that you can see the quote unquote water boys. In fact, I didn't even see the water. I was like, well, where's the water? Okay.
Right.
It was a group of like 7 or 8 at this ramp. Groups. Ironically, it was the ramp leading to Morehouse.
Yeah.
I'm like, let's think about that for a minute, right? It's like, how?
Well, and Yalanda, for people who don't know what you're talking about, can you give us like one sentence on what you mean by the water boys?
Yeah, well, Atlanta, and it's one of the problems in Atlanta where they are trying to cope with the fact that I don't even know how they identify it, but basically, you know how you're exiting the highway or in certain intersections, there are young men who purport that they are selling bottles of water. I don't think that they're selling bottles of water. I think there's some trafficking or some other things going on there. And I've seen many reports that kind of allude to that. And of course, that's another problem that the city of Atlanta has. But people are saying that, it's used like back in the day when people used to want to watch your windshield.
I was going to say, it's like squeegee
they're
boys.
very aggressive.
It's like the squeegee people, right?
Squeegee people.
And they're very aggressive, yes.
They're very aggressive, and people have made all kind of complaints, and the city seems like they can't do anything. And if they do anything, they go to the other extreme, and then people say, okay, well, hell, just leave them out there. If you're going to do that, just leave them be. We'll just run them over if they get too much, And I was coming in and there was a traffic jam. So I'm sitting there and I noticed people getting off of that exit. It's like you're getting off of the exit and there's like 7, 8 boys just standing there staring at you, like for whom is that comfortable? I want to see them as children too. But keep in mind, the exit that this took place is the exit ramp leading to Atlanta University Center, where you have not only Morehouse College, and I'm going to say Morehouse because young boys.
Morehouse. Yeah,
it's all male college and university. You've also got Spelman, you've got Clark Atlanta, you got the Theological Center, and there's something else. And just at the next exit, or in between there and the next exit, is a freaking YMCA. Okay, which would look like they were running a COVID test place out of there. Right. So I'm like, okay, well, and I know the last time this particular neighborhood had resources, and the resources were ripped from this particular neighborhood, was a part of Clinton's plan, where he decided whatever resources we had in America for Black men, he would rip it out while he was pretending to be our first Black president so that he could have a surplus. And in that surplus, people never asked, well, where did the money come from? It came from the fact that he took a lot of money out of communities, and therefore the communities without. But that's I won't say that's neither here nor there. That's the reason we're here. And the reason here, you can't tell me that the University Center can't find something in their budget for which to create some aspiration in these young men where they're not getting up and getting. I'm like, how are you getting up and you're getting dressed and you get to go and stand at this? It's like, whose child gets to do that for any length of time? Like, I was a mom of 4, and I'm like, and I want to tell you, I had a son. Okay, I have a son. And yeah, there were a couple of times I found out, like, how are you the hell way over there? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Because if he knew, if he asked me, it was going to be hell no. So let me ask somebody that's distracted and don't care. I can, and not that they didn't care. It's like, you put your kid in the care of others, and they say, I can lie to this one because it's clearly what it was. I can get away with this one. And so, but at the same time, you won't do it for long because something's gonna happen. And lo and behold, every time he would try something would happen, and I find out. But at the same time, I'm like, people, like even in the malls, like people, like they had a shooting at one of the shopping centers. I'm like, because people again wanting their kids out of the house. It's like, hey, we're hang out, and there's nothing wrong with that because you're supposed to be able to do that in your youth, but you're not supposed to have to do it around people who are aggressive and carrying weapons and so forth. So again, it's like we can't get to the answer to these things because the focus is not in the right place.
Yeah,
young people should not be out here dying in a pandemic of all these other causes when we have this thing. Where is the focus?
Right. And to your point, the pandemic is basically revealing where we've got these other problems, right? Where we've had these other problems that maybe we didn't notice, right? And then, in fact, no, I'm not going to, let me retract the maybe, that the cult, that I don't even want to say the culture, but that society, that American society,
I know, right? It's a good word.
I don't even know how to phrase it to say.
Right. And
there were people,
bear in mind, y'all, it's not our 50+ brains. Because Angela and I, in our 20s, I mean, if you think about it, Angela, I've worked with youth initiatives, I've led campaigns for our youth in that particular community. I mean, that's where I grew up, right? So I know when I allude to the fact that those resources left to the community during the Clinton time, I know for a fact that they did. I was working at Clark Atlanta when the quote unquote grant came down from the Clinton administration, and to find out what initiatives the young Black men need. And instead of taking that data and giving the resources, they took out more resources.
Right.
Like, oh, okay, here's how we can grow our prison population.
That's what I'm going for right there, is that it's been known, right? This stuff is known.
It's
known. Just that it's not acknowledged by those in authority. It's not acknowledged by the media. And if you're not in certain communities, you may not know, because you're just assuming based on what you're seeing from the government and from the media that either that everything's okay or that you understand why there's problems, but you don't, because it's not been shared, the truth of what's happening, and the people that have been telling the truth about what has happened have not been believed. And that, boy, is that going to be 22. I believe 2021 is about believe.
Well,
believe.
You say 2021, 95. Let me think. I would say somewhere around 96. Well, yeah. Okay. I was in the room and I'm saying all of this at the Carter Center, and former President Carter himself said, listen, everybody be quiet. Let's just listen to Yalanda on this.
Listen to Yalanda.
And I'm like, because I was saying this stuff then and I'm saying it now. In fact, I just literally said, okay, y'all are not going to just tell the people we're not going to do this. We're not going to save these young people. And we actually ended up saving a lot of young people, which is why we have such amazing millennials right now.
Exactly.
The reason we have such amazing millennials right now is because we made sure that they had the resources that they need, that they were able to find their way through these failed systems, because the systems have always been failing with intent to fail. When you go back and you look at the generation the zip code that I was born in, and the initiatives, y'all, this stuff, it gets written in the books and papers, and they're filed, and they're planned. These are actual plans, right? I was born in the zip code. Well, actually, we moved the year I think I was born, but 30318. There was an actual initiative by our government that the young men coming out of that zip code would be what would populate Georgia prisons, right? Mm-hmm. And not just 30318, but all over, and all these, every county had one. Like, okay, let's make sure there are no resources there, because literally we live in a country that thought that their collateral, they thought that their gross national product was going to be these bodies that they could reinstitutionalize into slavery again, mm-hmm. in the prison pipeline, right? So when you had that zip code, and it's still pretty much probably that. The only reason not that zip code now, because they're gentrifying it, right? So now they've got to go and find another place, right? Because they shut down all these things. But here we are in 2021, y'all. We came into 2020 without a plan, and so now we're here, and now we've got this pandemic. And the one thing they don't want, all those prisons that every city, county, state wanted to operate, they're like, how do we get these things closed? They want to close them now because the body count has got to be crazy. Body count has got to be insane.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody's asked. I mean, and let me tell you, the body count before the pandemic was insane. When you think of the American health crisis, the American health crisis on the outside is crazy. The American health crisis on the inside was 10x that. So,
and if you look, and this was a few months ago, if you looked at the top 10 counties of deaths by COVID, I have a client who lived in one of these counties, and it's a rural county in Virginia. And I thought, that's so weird. What is this about? And so I was talking to her. I said, I see your county here is one of the top 10 for COVID deaths. Are you guys okay? And she said, it's because we have a maximum security prison. And that is the big population here, right? And so when you look at,
have we heard anything about vaccinating prisoners?
And people who are experts say they should be in the top category with, frontline workers. It needs to be nursing homes. We're doing that, and it should be prisons. And nobody's talking about it.
I think it's absolutely opposite. I think they should have vaccinated kids first.
Yeah. But this is but this is what the experts say for populations that are stuck together, right? And schools are sort of in that same idea.
Yeah,
people that are forced together. But prisoners
already getting vaccinated.
Nursing
kids
home
and
people
seniors. Kids and seniors.
Yeah.
Seniors were getting what? Your pneumonia, your flu vaccine, and kids already have to have certain. I don't even remember how many vaccinations they have to have.
And so So again, the body count is old people and incarcerated people. And so I think that when all is said and done, and now at least we're under an administration where we should have some transparency into these numbers, I think we're going to be absolutely stunned. Hopefully we're still capable of being stunned by death at this level. And
say that again. Wait, because that's where we are.
Yeah.
You said hopefully we are still capable of being stunned.
Yep. I'm going to repeat that. Hopefully we are still capable of being stunned.
I don't know. Google listens to me, and I just said capable of being, in some kind of way Google pops up and giving me the definition on this Chromebook. I don't know how I activate it, but I apparently there's something that I say that sounds like, hey, find this. So we know this thing is listening to me.
Yeah, well, that's it. And all these devices are listening, and there is a little just to take a little jog, and then we can come back, because I think we should be up right at the hour.
We're right at the hour. So are we good to stay at 30? Because everybody doesn't think that we are senile old women.
Exactly.
In a crunch and in a crisis.
So
Don't just come for leading women in a crunch and in a crisis.
So we'll transition on over. We'll transition on over to in a crunch and in a crisis. But and as that there's a little viral video about checking your Facebook settings and how Facebook tracks you offline. So, Google that, how to keep Facebook from tracking you when you are off of Facebook. And basically, it's a good reminder.
I've heard some stuff about Facebook this week.
And I tell you, we're on Facebook right now, so thank you, Facebook, for that. But I tell you, Facebook, there's going to be some changes, or people are going to be leaving in mass.
Which is why we are asking you guys to go over and
please
follow
go to
us. Our YouTube channel.
Our
YouTube channel,
because we may eventually broadcast there.
Yeah.
But let's go back to our topic. So, like you say,
you sent me a list of women,
and I want to talk about.
You want to talk about? So
I want to talk about Stacey Abrams,
Nobel nominated
Stacey Abrams. I want to talk about Cicely Tyson.
Well, let's Stacey, are you surprised it was the Peace Prize or what?
Oh, yes.
Was it peace?
The whole world looked and said, who do we thank for Donald Trump being gone? And who do we thank for giving Biden power to do some stuff for us? And they looked and they went, Stacey Abrams. So absolutely, the world is more peaceful in their hearts and in their spirits because Trump is gone and we have a Democratic and Republican Congress. I mean, a full Democratic Congress. That is Stacey Abrams. And so I want to go back to your thing of how that loops in to crunch and crisis, right? Stacey Abrams has been talking about this approach to flipping Georgia and to other really southern states, red southern states with large African-American populations, which is all the South, right? She's been talking about this for 10 solid years.
She's spent a lot of time in rural Georgia.
And she has been working a plan. And 10 years ago, she started saying, it's a numbers game. It's a math problem. And if we get people registered, so we got to quit trying to get Republicans to vote Democrat. Let's get the people who are not able to we got to fight voter suppression and get Black voters registered and get them to the polls. She said, we could turn this state. And so people were like, yeah, whatever. Really, nobody was really paying. Nobody. That, and when I say nobody, the powers that be were like, sure, right? And so at every point when crap was going down here in Georgia, right? And everybody's like, boycott Georgia. We're going to leave Georgia. Film industry, boycott Georgia. And Stacey Abrams is saying, no, come and help us. We, the people of Georgia, are not represented by the government because we have been oppressed. Our vote has been suppressed. So what she has done is modeled a plan that can work for all the southern states. That's why the Nobel Peace Prize. So it's not just that she's helped the world, but she has created a program that can be duplicated and can be duplicated without her. So when she decides, I'm clear she's going to run for governor. This seems to be what her idea is. But she's put in place a plan that can be duplicated in Alabama and Mississippi and in North Carolina and in South Carolina. And I believe that we are in the next 10 years going to see more southern states go blue because of following the Stacey Abrams plan. So, but it's only in the crunch. Right. When we have an insane, when we had an insane man running our government, right. And threatening, and in a pandemic that people finally, the powers that be thought, well, maybe we should pay attention to what Stacey Abrams is saying and what women, and she's indicative of other Black women particularly, but grassroots organizers in Georgia and other places. Let's pay attention to what they're saying, which is, if you help us, if you support us with money and help us build infrastructure to support our voters, you will see a change. But it wasn't until the crunch that they really wanted to listen. So I think so if we had listened earlier, we would not have been in the crunch, because had Trump not been president, we would not be where we are in this pandemic right now. So I think that I really like your.
So had they listened to her earlier, Trump would not have been president.
I believe so. I believe
that's what we mean by don't just come to us in the crisis and in the crunch. Listen sooner, listen earlier, and let's avoid
and act
all of this stuff.
And act on that, act on good advice. And so we'll see, right? Now that we're still are in a crunch, but we're not in the crisis that we were. Are we going to go back? Is our government and are the people in authority going to go back to the way it was? Because here in Georgia, the fight continues. Our Republican state legislature is trying every kind of approach right now to rip away all the progress that Stacey Abrams and other organizations, Latasha Brown, have made and to make voting accessible. They're trying to take every one of our hard-earned gains away. So the fight continues here. We're going to have to keep paying attention to, particularly to Black women who've been organizers, those who've really been responsible for grassroots organizing and fighting voter suppression. But the rest of the country going to pay attention?
This. For those of you that are local with us in Georgia, in Atlanta, women are on the move already. We've seen that Felicia Moore is throwing her hat in the mayor's race. And today, before coming on, I heard that Mary Norwood
is she back in
not running for mayor, but she is running again for a seat on city council.
Interesting, because I wondered if she would run again.
Yeah, she knows mayor is not going to get that one, but we do. So we're seeing the women already out in the leading as far as this is concerned. And that means it's about to be an interesting, year? They have a year or 2 years. Is it a year?
I think it's this year. Yes.
Yeah. See, it's like crazy, right?
Yes.
And that's another problem that we have here in Georgia is our election is kind of all over the place.
Isn't it? Because I was trying to calculate. Well, anyway,
I want to say like June or July.
Yes, because there would have to be primaries.
I don't know.
Because, but again, I'm not in the city of Atlanta, so I'm not tracking the mayoral race. But I
can't imagine them.
I thought she was elected in 2017, right? So if 2017, 4 years would be 2021.
But wouldn't she be on? Is it on the midterm or is it separate?
I must be separate because the midterm is in 2 years.
Next year.
Will be 2022, right?
I can't imagine them spending a year on talking about mayor and city council for 2 years.
No, so I'm not. Let's say I probably could just turn here to my computer, but I don't.
I know, but I don't think we want to because, like you said,
we will have that information. For anybody who's interested, you can Google Atlanta mayoral race, and you will probably.
All right, let's go to. We got about 15 minutes. Okay, Cicely Tyson. Definitely, we're doing the memoir. I find it fascinating. Yes. I'm still in her youth, so I haven't gotten to the young adult Cicely. Have you?
Yes, I am. Where are we? She just did autobiography of Jane Pittman. So
okay, so you're at that point.
I'm at the reading. I've been through the first Miles Davis, and now we're heading into the second. So she's into the 70s. She's in her 40s at this point. I tell you, every part of this book is just riveting. And anybody who follows my Facebook will see that I actually hurt my foot. I should hurt my foot reading this memoir. I was so engrossed. Got my foot wedged.
Did you sit too long? Is that what it was?
I had my foot wedged in a weird way, and I think I was just so into it. I didn't realize that my foot was being pushed back like this, and then I went to get up, and I couldn't. It's like, ugh. And I was like, oh, I thought maybe it had gone to sleep, but I had a little injury. It hurt really bad, and I was having a hard time walking. I had to wrap it and take took some Tylenol and had to put it up. It was better overnight, but that's how gripping it is. And but I just think it's so interesting
when you think about how long she lived, and she had a very active life throughout her life.
Anyone who's lived
so much in there.
Anybody who's lived 100 years has something to tell. But she was, because she just
and
was
her memory, her recall of it all. That's
amazing. Now she did have a co-author, and so sometimes, because there's at one point I'm like, oh my God, how does she?
No. let me tell you, because remember, I got a chance to attend the keynote with her.
Yeah.
She was on freaking point.
Well,
I
you could
mean,
tell her mind is
her
her mind
mind,
was perfect right to the end.
and she accredits that to, you know, her island roots.
Yeah.
And I mean, no one had to say, "Sister, remember you did this?" Donnie, no. She
No.
was a fireball. And I
Yeah.
think I went, what was that, 2018?
Yeah, that was not that long ago. And
Yeah.
but no, she's clearly, and sometimes in the story she'll be like, why do I remember this person's name? And it's like, like she really could,
Her recall was
yeah.
insane.
And but whoever helped her
The
write
funny
that,
thing,
it's just beautiful.
about her is, and I think this is where I am in the book. She was talking about a couple of the roles, and she'll go deeper. No, I was listening to something, but people who were in productions with her, them having to learn that she comes to set in character.
Yes, method.
And I remember her talking about that.
Yep.
That she does everything in character, and she doesn't break character. And because she did, and I shared a little bit of video if you guys want to check it out, where she talked about how she selected roles, because people don't understand. I'm gonna straighten my posture up when I say this.
Right.
That when Black women are selecting their roles and they understand how it is immortalizing them, but also building the perception that people have of us. And there are only a few of these Black women who make that conscious decision in their productions, their paychecks aside. It's like, no, I have to say no to this. I want to say yes to that. I want to do this and that, because they know that long from now, this will be the perception of us, and it's going to pour into somebody. So
it was her activism. That was her activism.
Yeah,
that was her activism.
And not every actor, okay, whether they skin folk or not every person brings activism to what they are doing.
And she absolutely did. And what I find so interesting about her, this is a couple of things. If you're, these spoiler free, this is a spoiler free review, is her very early. Clearly, she's highly intuitive and, in fact, quite psychic. Right? She talks about, and I've heard her in interviews also talking about sort of, she had, precognition, premonitions, and so forth. But she used her intuition, and she very early learned what that felt like for her, right? And she would say, she'd read something and she'd get a tingle all over, and she'd be like, this is for me, this is for me. And there would be parts that she would go out for that literally they'd tell her, no, no, no. But she'd be like, nope, this is mine, and she would get that part. So she learned very early, and then she learned how to say, no, I'm not going to go over there. Like, I'm not going to go get involved with this group or these people, right? So she really did use intuition. I'm always about what's the combination between intellect and intuition. She really was very early figured out what that was for herself. But the second thing is, she was really at the center of the Black arts movement of like the 50s through the 70s, particularly. So she crossed paths with so many other incredible Black artists, actors, writers, musicians. And, the fact that she was involved with Miles Davis and puts her all in the music world, the names that just get dropped in a page, she's not name dropping. It's just like, so is Roscoe Lee Brown was there, and James Earl Jones was there, and Diane Carroll's my best friend. And, she's just, it's like Lorraine Hansberry was at this party at Maya Angelou's, and James Baldwin was there. And I'm just like, my brain, I'm like, the movie that could be made based on this, I really hope is a good one, because I'm sure the film rights have been acquired. But to honor how there's a group of artists that came together that now we just think of as elder statesmen and actors, right? Sidney Poitier, Harry Belafonte. But she was there when they were all forming, right? When they were all in their early stages of their careers and trying new things.
Oh my God! Just give a thought to Sidney Poitier and Harry Belafonte, who's still with us. And I mean, I still, I can't help but to wonder about the Sidney Poitier friendship with Bill Cosby after all of that.
Yeah, there's a little mention of
I
Bill
really
Cosby.
want to ask that question. I really want to
Yeah.
know. I need to know.
Yeah, but
The whole birth. I just want to say, like, did you keep Bill? I felt like he kept Bill Cosby at a distance. Like, bro, we cool, but
right.
over here, I just really feel like he and I know men have told me, and because I'm that person who asks to do. I'm like, but your friend is like really suspect on some stuff, and they'll say I never bring it up. We never talk about it. But they know, and men continuously tell me that. But I'm like, how is it that bad men still have a best friend?
And I will tell you, I've read a really great essay on that. I'm like, can I turn and see? Can you see my book here by Kiese Lehman in his revised "How to Slowly Kill Yourself and Others in America"? I highly recommend this. It's a short read, and
what is it about?
So
what does it do?
This is an essay. This is a great. Let me see. Can I do it here? This is a great essay collection. He actually released this. I call him young. He's in his 40s, young Black writer out of Mississippi.
Again, how to
slowly kill yourself and others in America. It's hard to read that.
No, we see it clearly. It may be backwards to you, but it's good to us.
Yeah, can you see it? Yeah. So how to slowly kill yourselves and others in America. And it's an essay collection that he wrote over a period of years, but he revised it, right? So
what does he say? What is this phenomenon?
So what he talked about is particularly for Black men, and this idea of this turning inward on shame and pain, and then how it seeps out and harms those around them, and so he particularly looks at it through the lens of how he related to his, how the generation of women. He was raised by his grandmother and his mother, and how that formed him, and then how he went in the world and had to figure out how to balance the feminine. And an essay in there called Echo, and it's 5 Black men, and it's maybe a round robin. I don't know what you would call it. It's a progressive essay, and the first one writes a letter, right? So it's letters, right? So the first one writes a letter, and the second one responds, and then the third one responds to the first two, and then the fourth one responds, and then the fifth one responds to all of them. And it's about elements and aspects of being Black men in America. And so,
it sounds like a play I saw by Paris Creighton III, and he has this very interesting way where he'll have them all talking at the same time, but not over talking, and then they just instantly slide in. Oh my God! I wish they would do more.
You would really love this.
I'm gonna get
whole
that
book, but
send me
essay
a screenshot afterwards so I can get.
I will, but that essay in particular, and they're all so open and vulnerable, and it's just beautiful. But Kiese's point is, so they're talking about self-love, and then learning to love other men, right? Like, and in a brotherhood, right? And then Kiese says, but what we were taught, he says, what I was taught was that you can't, you don't want to reveal anything against other Black men, even if those Black men are harming women, even if those Black men are harming their women, right?
Wow.
And he said, because we're trying to protect them. And he loves that Nikki Giovanni, James Baldwin interview. And I thought, he's writing that as a reflection on Nikki Giovanni saying, lie to me, right? This is the extension of that. Is he saying, can we hold each other accountable for how we're treating women? So I thought about Bill Cosby. You think about Bill Cosby, right?
In essence,
is to say,
men are out here living lies. Women are out here thinking they have to live their truths.
Yep. Yeah.
And therefore we hence have all these problems.
Okay, now I'm going to do the old lady thing because my glasses aren't good. Let me just read you this line, because and again, who am I? I'm like, who am I to be commenting on this? But this is just and this right here moves me. And go on YouTube and find the interview with Kiese Lehman, Darnell Moore, Michael, what is Michael's last name? Michael Denzel Smith, Marlon Peterson, Kai Green. These are the 5 men that wrote this. And they did a couple months ago, they did a discussion, and it is one of the most brilliant things. And it just moved me to make art, right? And I honor their art, right? And the community that Kiese is building particularly. Let me
men are so brilliant, why are we in a crisis?
Yeah. Here it is. So he's talking about his mother's partner, right? His parents divorced when they was young, so his mother's boyfriend, and who was beating her. And he said, this black man was respected in our community, and I could have knocked his hustle by telling the truth to him, to my mother, or to anyone who knew us, but I never did. I knew not to. I knew that telling was not only spreading my mama's business, it was also a form of knocking this black man's hustle. And that, I believe, was not how one black man should love another. And so when you're talking about what was the relationship between Sidney Poitier and Bill Cosby, right?
Damn. Wait, you got to read that again.
I'm serious. This will kill you in a good way. I mean, is that not just like?
I specifically was telling a girlfriend, she got a call from a guy asking her, because she had the power in a crisis, right, to save this guy for this guy, right? This guy calls her, I'm trying to save this guy, I need to pair him with you. And I said to her, what the hell? Has he ever called and said, hey, listen, I need to pair you with this opportunity? But it cannot watch this man drown or lose it all, which he rightfully should, because he endangered, his foundation. But he has decided, I'm going to save this man, and I need you to do it. And has not done that for you. Read that for me one more time.
But this right here is just like crazy deep, right? Says, this black man was respected in our community, and I could have knocked his hustle by telling the truth to him, to my mother, or to anyone who knew us, but I never did. I knew not to. I knew that telling was not only spreading my mama's business, it was also a form of knocking this black man's hustle. And that, I believed, was not how one black man should love another.
All this other stuff aside, but still in the mix of it all. But it comes down to, somebody said that's deep. LaShonda, wait, hold on, y'all. Hey, Tati coming in there. LaShonda said that's deep man code there.
This right here. I mean, you want to...
She mentions the mom.
Yep.
But the reason is not to knock another man's hustle.
Not to knock another man's hustle. And I'm like, white people do this too, right? So I don't. But I just want to say, but he's talking about a unique experience that to me explains Bill Cosby, right? And explains these other things. And when you read Cicely Tyson and you read about a relationship with Miles Davis, and you see the experience of her parents, I mean, it's like she says daddy issues.
Women don't have that code. Women don't have that code.
No, but the men. Where were the men? Right? Where were the men? Yeah. Right? And but this, I just want to say what his takeaway is. Right? He says, your letter reminds me that when you don't let love breathe, you can't be surprised when you and those around you suffocate. We black men have suffocated our partners and ourselves for a long, long time. We black men have been suffocating for a long, long time, and I'd like it to stop.
But he said he'd like it to stop, but he doesn't. It's not going to stop because the focus, again, which is what we're talking about, the focus is on keeping a man's business quietly private,
right?
Not the damage that man has done and all this other stuff.
So
the point you want to.
Right.
Girl.
So then he goes on to say, I want to work on loving you. And he's talking to the men that he's written this to this. And I want you to work on loving me. Please knock my hustle, Darnell. Please remain my friend when I knock yours. Please love me, brother, and encourage me to be a healthy part of healthy relationships no matter what. There is no proof that most of the nation has ever wanted us to live with dignity and equal access to healthy choices. So we have to take better care of ourselves. We have to change. I am regretful and ready to be better at love.
Okay, book club, book club, book club, book club, book club. That's our read. Hold it back up to the screen. Everybody get your screenshot. We got to get this one. Say his name again.
So it's Kiese Layman. So it's Kiese, spelled like Kiese Layman, Laymon. How to Kill Yourselves and Others in America. Make sure you get the 2020 edition. This is this is a re-release. And he's got a whole story about how he really got cheated the first time he released this. And he had to go and buy back the rights to his books. He had to pay 10 times what he was paid to get the rights back. Yeah. And
somebody should have knocked that other man's hustle.
Exactly. And he's knocking that hustle, right?
Now he knows to knock the hustle.
But guess what? He got to release this book, another book that he had done, a children's YA, and 2 new books. He got a 7-figure deal. So he got a multi-million-dollar probably advance on 4 publications. Kiese Layman, I so respect what he's doing. And we are going to look back in history, and there's going to be a movement named after what he's been doing for the last decade, bringing together Southern Black writers, and particularly bringing together the stories of Gen X men. And
that's what we said. The millennials, they figured this thing out. Because they knew how to form their questions, and they saw answers. All right, y'all. It is 3.
Yeah.
It's 3. We're about to go over, so we got to go.
This will be our book.
Here is your Valentine's soaps. There you go, right there. Listen, the deadline for shipping is February the 9th. That is the last day that we're shipping. If you are in Atlanta, you can do pickup. We are offering pickup. We were trying to offer delivery, but Valentine is on a Sunday, and no, I'm not going to be out delivering those. But you get in your Valentine box. You're going to get 6. We've got our honey rose, our red velvet, and many of you have not seen or had a chance to experience red velvet. That's chocolate.
Yeah.
A raspberry and our Madam VPs are in there as well. And then, of course, our naked bar. And that's in your Valentine box. The red box Valentine. Today's show is brought to you by Red Box Valentine. Let me grab a box. Hell, I can't not have a box on here. Hopefully I don't fall. I'm trying. Okay, there we go. Gotta go. But listen, this is the small version. This is a 3-pack Red Box Valentine. It comes in a 3-pack and a 6-pack. Now, the towers, I told you guys to pre-order your towers. I think there may be 1 left. Those are sold out. So, but still, you can have him, her, they, them open a red box on Valentine with their soaps. You're going to get the 6-pack. You get all 6 of these. The 3, you're going to get the rose, honey rose, the red velvet, or the raspberry. I think probably there's more raspberry, so there'll probably be one of those. Or you can do the mystery box. All of our February boxes, all of our orders for February are coming in red boxes. So I got it upside down. All of your February orders are coming in the red box up until Valentine's Day. So get your orders in, and they're coming in. So happy pre-Valentine's Day for that. And guests of the leading women, when we invite you on as guests, they receive a gift card to go and shop. Oh, there's a new code. It's called Birthday Bar. If it's your birthday, you get a free bar. All you just go and put in Birthday Bar. If you want to try a bar out, of course, you're going to pay for shipping. So make sure you order some more. But use the code Birthday Bar if you are a first-time customer or a returning customer. Use the code Lather Me Up to save 10%. 10% store-wide Lather Me Up. So check that out as well. You can catch more Angela and I in the mornings on Clubhouse. She is a moderator in the room that we have called Feed Your Dreams, y'all.
So breakfast with Dryer Buzz.
Breakfast with Dryer Buzz. That's on Clubhouse for those of you. Listen, if you're still Android and you're like, I'll wait. No, go get yourself some kind of Apple device, old phone, whatever it is, and come on Clubhouse, because it is absolutely awesome and amazing. You don't have to get dressed for it. So let me tell you, awesome conversation. And we're there 8 to 10 Tuesdays through Saturdays for the week. So that's it for us, guys. Thank you so much. In a crunch, in a crisis, don't come rolling up on women just in a crunch, in a crisis. Understand that we are absolutely and always brilliant. Okay. And you don't have to knock our hustle.
Exactly.
All right, Angela, anything else?
I think that's it. Just go
And
forth.
Tati
And
says, thanks, ladies. And so we'll
thanks,
see you guys
Tati.
all next week. Replays are where? Over there at leadingwomenweekly.com. On your favorite platforms, look for the hashtag Leading Women Weekly. And again, our YouTube channel, please go and subscribe to the YouTube channel so that you don't miss it, because there's some stuff going on over here on Facebook, but you'll never lose us on YouTube. All right, guys. Bye.
Bye.